anyone else have anything burning on the panel that they want to say tonight?
I would just like to take a minute to give you an anecdote, a real life thing that happened on our show. And because it was difficult, it was tricky, and it's tricky from both sides. So we hired an actor, we made an offer to an actor that you all know, famous actor, to be on Grace and Frankie. And he was excited, and the agent said to us, is it possible for him to have cue cards or a teleprompter? He doesn't need it, but it would just give him that extra security. And I said, oh, let me ask. No one had ever asked. And I asked Marta Kaufman, and I said exactly what the agent had said to me. He doesn't need it. He's absolutely fine. It would just be a little extra security. You know, it's comedy, it goes fast, it would just be extra good for him. And I actually, even before I told Marta, I called somebody from his last series and asked if he had had any problems, and they said no. So I asked Marta, and she immediately said, no, we're not doing that. We don't have, and remember how I put it to her, that it was not necessary. And she said, we don't have teleprompters. We got our 4 actors. They don't use them. I'm not starting with any of that. Let's just say no, he'll be fine. And I called back and I said, you know what? We're just not going to start with that. We don't do it on our show. Believe me, if he drops a line, if he needs a line, if he takes his time, we work very slowly. We got a lot of older actors on our show. We take our time. They don't come in word perfect. They don't hardly ever get it word perfect, and it's fine. You know, we just do it. We handle it. So, yeah. And the agent said, okay, great, no problem, absolutely no problem. Fine. The day came, and I get a text from Marta that says, it's a problem. And this actor, and he had cheat sheets all over the place, and he had struggled to remember his lines, and he had big fat passages. And it just makes me think, how could we all have handled that better? Perhaps the agent didn't know. Maybe the actor didn't confide in his agent that he really is struggling now. Maybe the agent did know and thought he was protecting him. But it wasn't good for him, and it wasn't good for us. And we ended up having to write out cue cards for him. And it made a much bigger scene than it ever would have been if he had just said he'd love to do it, could you have cue cards? And I guarantee we would have had cue cards, and nobody would have batted an eye. So this is a real life thing that happened, and I'd be interested in anybody's opinion or Tim, like, I mean, what position would you have been in? It's tricky. I get it. Believe me, I get it's tricky.
Well, you know, you want to protect your actor at all times, but not to the point where it actually hurts them more. So hopefully an actor would feel comfortable letting me know they were having that kind of problem so that nobody's... The worst thing that can ever happen to any actor of any age at any moment is that they get on set and suddenly they can't do something that they're supposed to be able to do for whatever reason. It gets... I'm glad you have obviously graceful people, but let's just say most people aren't nearly that graceful, and it gets very angry and very loud very, very fast. So I always encourage people that I represent to let me know and to be very honest in what they can do, and then I will try to present it to the producers in the best possible way.
And we've had the same thing with people with disabilities, or they need a walker, or they can't come up the steps, or they need somebody to come with them, or be on set, or take it. Lots and lots of things have come up, and I hope that we do handle them gracefully, but I'm going to encourage you to be brave enough to be honest about what you need from us.
Can I add something there, Tracy? I think this is, as a senior, one of my greatest fears. I think but I've also talked to young people who have told me that that's their fear too. And so when I'm not on a project, you know, I don't want to plug any particular acting class or anything like that, but, you know, like I'll go to like the Groundlings, or I'll go to an acting class, or I will do everything in my power, because I feel that this brain at this age has to be exercised like this body. Because I used to be able to hear and look at a name when I was 21 years old once, or a paragraph once, and it was there, and that's not the case after age 50. And it's not just after age 70, it's after age 50, because I'm working with actors in their 40s and 50s who are telling me this too. So it's like we as actors are obligated in our free time to go to class, to do, I do all those Scrabble games or whatever it takes. I don't want to lose my memory. It's like the most important thing, one of the most important things we have as actors, and you cannot take it for granted. So that would be something that I would say that because I have nightmares about, I don't ever want that to happen to me.
Yes, sir.
I just want to leave you with one thing about myself, and speaking of honesty, I just want to leave you with one thing about myself, speaking of honesty, and how clear my vision of what the industry is. I wrapped a movie in November of 2018. I've worked 3 days since then at scale plus 10. That's 10 months. I've worked 3 days. And so you question your value, you question yourself. But I really want to think deeper than that. And that's a struggle that we face as we get older. There was nothing for me. There was nothing for me. I could count the auditions I had on two hands within those 10 months. So, this is our life, and we have to fight. I can tell you all about the things that I've done. I've done over 500, 600 plays across America. I've done films in Asia, Canada, and the older you get, the more you have to struggle and fight. Continue that fight with integrity.